Breaking news. Mikko Rantanen plays for a team that starts with a C, but it isn't Colorado. Let's get into it. I'm Tristyn. I'm joined by Mackenzie. Welcome to the third episode of Blue Line Banter, everyone. Of course, in that intro, I'm referring to the massive trade we saw on Friday that sent one of the top 10 players in the league, I think it's safe to say, from the Colorado Avalanche to the Carolina Hurricanes in a blockbuster that stunned the NHL.
Yeah, I would argue that he's a top 5 player.
Okay.
Honestly. And when this happened on Friday, I was getting ready to go on air for Ooks. So pretty much 10 minutes before the game started, Tristyn texted me and he was like, Rantanen is leaving. Friedman and Sarah Valley both reported it. It's happening. And he said, I know you're going on air, but you need to know this. And then it basically sent the whole media booth into a frenzy 5 minutes before we went on air.
Oh, that must have been so fun. I kind of wish I was there for that. But I was sitting at home and my hockey Discord started, the first tweet that came through because they were talking about the tweets coming through of Hall's going to Carolina, which I guess maybe the first thing we should do, break down the details of this trade.
Yeah, probably.
And try and explain it because I know a lot of our listeners aren't super familiar with hockey.
I'm just going to put it like this. If your star person is working somewhere and they are trying to get a little bit more money and then basically your employer is like, nah, I don't think so, and sends you somewhere else, but this other place isn't that bad and you could probably go to the cup final with them or have a really good promotion with them. I'm trying to put this in the most simple of terms.
Basic terms possible, yeah. So what we see is out of this trade, it was a 3-team trade, but Chicago was kind of just
thrown in there.
Yeah, I mean, they were in the cuck chair to hold money. They got water for these two as they were going at it. But what it ends up seeing is Carolina Hurricanes acquired Mikko Rantanen at half retention, so half of his salary is being eaten by Chicago, so they don't have to pay him as much, and he doesn't count as much against their salary cap, as well as the full cap hit of Taylor Hall, once first overall pick, now on his 7th team.
Also, something kind of crazy is Chicago didn't know who they were going to be retaining. So the Carolina Hurricanes GM, he said, I need you to retain half a salary, and I'm not going to tell you who it is. And the Chicago Blackhawks GM said, okay.
Kyle Davidson really just said okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he already knew he was getting out of Hall's money.
Yeah.
And so that's why he was probably okay with it, because that was a big thing for them in this trade. Is because this report didn't come in after, but they also gave up a prospect to Carolina to take Hall.
That's crazy. I feel so bad for Hall. I feel so bad for him.
All Chicago got out of this trade was their own 3rd-round pick back, which is honestly kind of crazy. But you were telling me something about that.
Yes. So I was listening to 32 Thoughts on Monday morning. I have taken a break from listening to them. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it's hard to listen to because it's so analytical and just serious. Mm-hmm. And you have to be thinking to listen to it. And I can't always turn on my brain to listen to it.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But essentially, Chicago got their 3rd-round pick back.
Yep.
Do you know who else made a trade earlier this year, I guess in the summertime, getting their 3rd-round pick back?
Who would that be?
The St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, fuck them.
And we all know what they did. They offer sheeted Edmonton for Holloway and Broberg. And Friedman said, don't be surprised if they are getting ready to offer sheet somebody.
I'm just curious on who that would be. I'm scared as an Oilers fan that it'll be my boy Ty Emberson.
I agree.
Of how well he's doing. Yeah. Which is why we need to lock him up now.
If I were Stan Bowman, I would be like, okay, we got to get this deal done right now.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, sign him to a 4-year, 2.5. I don't care if it's a little overpay. I lock him up.
Yeah.
Because we cannot afford him to get offer sheeted. Because then we're losing another really good young piece that is super good for the future.
Yeah.
But no, that's interesting that I'm curious at who they're looking at.
I know. I could also see it being a young forward. Having somebody with a little bit more skill with Bedard, trying to have like a Mikko Rantanen to your Nathan McKinnon, a Leon Draisaitl to your Connor McDavid.
Absolutely.
Will Smith to your Macklin Celebrini. Like, you need that pair.
All great examples. I'm just trying to think of who that is. Like, Mitchkov's not going anywhere. Like,
no.
He's not. He'd be great, but, like, he's not going anywhere. I just can't think of any younger forwards right now that fit the mold to be offer sheeted that aren't going to be re-signed by their teams.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. It's kind of an unfinished thought here, but I can definitely see something kind of crazy coming out of Chicago.
100%. Continue on with the details of this trade. So Chicago gets their own third back for retaining half a Rantanen. That's all they got out of this. Carolina got Rantanen, Hall, and the player, the prospect. I cannot remember his name, but it was something really funky and not easy to remember. And then on the Colorado Avalanche side of this is interesting because they gave up the best player in this trade. Mikko Rantanen is by far the best player in this trade. In return, they got a really good winger in Martin Necas. Like, don't get me wrong, but he's not Rantanen. They also got Jack Drury, who's a good depth centerman, as well as a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick. And I believe they're both 2025. So that seems underwhelming for Rantanen.
But also, like, Necas?
Yeah, Necas.
He is flourishing this year. He's playing very well. He led the league in scoring through the first 25 games, which is not a big sample size.
No, but it's still impressive in its own right. And, like, I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's really good. That's crazy. That, like, I don't know. I just feel like the fact they didn't even get a first back is crazy. And honestly, what Carolina's now done in the last two seasons, I know Gensel walked, and there's still the potential of Rantanen to not re-sign, but to get both Gensel and Rantanen, and they haven't given up a single first-round pick or any of their top four prospects.
It's impressive.
That's some pretty good work by Tusky.
Honestly,
Tusky, whatever it is.
The GM for the Carolina Hurricanes, he is very good and does his job very well. And I know that they don't typically do big ticket contracts. They really try to stay away from them. But
we'll see with the Finnish connection.
And also on 32 Thoughts, Friedman said that they basically came to Gensel and said that they wanted to pay him what he wanted to pay. But then Tampa was already there and had come to the agreement with him first. So they were late on coming on that. And I think that they are not going to make that same mistake again.
No, I don't think so. I've heard talks that they've started extension talk because Rantanen is a unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. So it is a bit of a risk to do this trade without the extension in place and do the sign and trade because there is that potential he walks, and we're going to get into some of that silly nonsense later.
Also, really quickly, Necas, he was averaging like 20 minutes with the Hurricanes, which is still like some big minutes for him.
Absolutely.
And he said he was actually on Spit and Chicklets this week too. They interviewed him a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he said that he really wants to be playing a bigger role and being more of in that like top six and making sure that he's contributing. And with the Avalanche on the 28th, so yesterday against the Islanders, he had 24 minutes and 42 seconds. And then against Boston, he played 25 minutes.
That's insane. Playing almost half the game. That is 2018 McDavid numbers.
Yeah. So
and we all know that 2018 team was something that we had to throw him out there every time. We'll see what happens playing with, McKinnon is definitely a boost over Aho as a number one center. So, maybe playing with him, he's able to boost his production a little bit here. But the same thing kind of goes the other way. Like, I can see Aho and Svechnikov's production going up now with Rantanen on their wing. And I got to give Carolina credit for the last, 4 playoffs. It has been the same thing. They're a good team. They play a good team game, top to bottom. They're well-rounded. They don't have a game breaker. They don't have a star who can come in and win you a series, win you a big game. Well, they tried with Gensel. He was okay, but they got Mikko fucking Rantanen. I mean...
I think you're forgetting about Seth Jarvis.
Oh my God, what is with you and Seth Jarvis?
I love the guy. I think he's so sick. Winnipeg boy, just one of the boys. I love him.
Listen, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not Mikko fucking Rantanen.
In all seriousness, this is a joke. I don't think that he is their game breaker. He's just a good guy to have in the room and is a solid player.
Absolutely. No, 100%. I do agree with that. And I loved his quotes about Team Canada and what he's willing to do for that team, playing right defense if they ask him to.
I'll fucking play right defense if they need me to. Yeah. And you know what, Seth? I love that.
I do love that. That's good commitment, especially considering, you made it over a guy like Zach Hyman. But that's just Homer speak.
Yeah, that's Homer speak, but also if it was between Seth Jarvis and Zach Hyman, Jarvis he has a similar play style to Hyman, so I am okay with it.
And he's younger, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you have any other thoughts on this massive ass trade that honestly has sent waves through the NHL? Because now there's talks of what does Toronto do with Marner? Is something similar going to happen? Do they have to evaluate where they're at with Marner?
Yes.
And yes, I agree. It also sounds like Chicago and all this is... I know we just said they only got their third back, but the big thing they're getting is the cap space at the end of this season, because it sounds like they're loading up to try and go sign a Mitch Marner or a Rantanen if they aren't extended and go and get a star player to play with Bedard.
Okay, so I have one more thought about this.
Okay.
And we all know that the salary cap is going up.
Potentially a lot.
Yeah. There's rumors of it going up to $97 million, which is huge. They're not in escrow anymore. So for all of our listeners that aren't big hockey fans, escrow is basically where the players pay back into the salary cap.
Yep.
I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's very complicated, to be honest.
Yeah, the whole salary cap situation in the NHL is super hard, and honestly a lot of the time it goes in one year and out the other for me.
Yep.
But it is potentially going up to $97 million this off season, so the summertime. And Elliot Friedman said that teams aren't comfortable. There are specific teams that aren't comfortable with this. So what that means is teams in smaller markets that are already maximizing their revenue. So ticket sales, concession, all of that stuff. And by doing this trade, Colorado kind of put it forward that they are already feeling like this because Colorado, their ticket prices are expensive. They have a fairly new arena, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't think Ball Arena's that old.
Yeah, so their concession prices are definitely high. I mean, we are already paying at least $150 to sit in the upper bowl of Rogers Place and paying $20 for a beer. So I see where Friedman is coming from. And when teams have these salary caps, they have to pay into it. And Canadian teams especially, because they have to pay their players in pay their players in US dollars.
Got there, good job.
Took me a second, but some teams may not be comfortable with this because their revenues are pretty much maxed out already, and then the salary cap going up. So that is something to kind of consider in this. And Colorado is basically saying that we have a tier of the pay structure that we want to have for each position. And they said that we are not willing to go over whatever Rantanen was wanting, which sounds like it was Leon Draisaitl money, and everyone, especially Friedman also said it. He said, this doesn't happen if Leon Draisaitl doesn't sign that $14 million contract.
Not at all. The Oilers have now ruined a third team. Let's go.
I love that we have sent two teams into rebuilds.
Yep.
Not officially the Canucks.
They're
so really only one.
Okay,
but you know what? They're on their way. And you know what? I love it.
Me too.
I love it.
Yeah, the thing with Rantanen, though, and this whole pay structure thing that I was hearing is, yes, for like when all this was happening, it was hearing he wanted Leon money. But now I'm seeing reports from guys like Friedman saying he was asking for 12 mil max.
Yeah.
Which would be under McKinnon.
Yeah.
So, like, if that's the case, again, I don't know what to believe because you're hearing all sorts of reports from everyone. But if it was the fact that he was only asking for 12 max and you traded him for that, that's insane.
Yeah, and
14,
also
I get because like I get their thought. Like McKinnon's paid what 12.6.
Yeah,
you're not better than McKinnon. You don't deserve to be paid better than McKinnon for the next 5-6 years. But also that's just kind of how contracts work. Like you sign it at the time. He was the highest paid player when he signed that contract, and then the cap started going up.
And then it was Austin Matthews, and now it's Leon Draisaitl, and next year it's going to be Connor McDavid.
Those lights are bugging me. Lights, we got some weird light situations in the studio today. They just keep flickering, and it's very distracting. But yeah, I mean, next season, Leon will be paid more than McDavid for the season, and then McDavid will get his new extension, and it'll be $16 million and whatever. But I think it's a little harsh to be like, well, we're not paying you that much money because McKinnon makes that much. But at the time, 12.6 was the max.
Yeah. Also, really quickly, the fact that they didn't consult McKinnon is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, imagine having to make that call.
Yeah. I can't, like, even fathom it. And also, Jared Bednar, like, he probably had an idea of what was going on, but I don't think he fully knew that it was going to be happening now.
I think the crazy thing is how well they kept this under wraps, too.
Yes.
Like, it was a trade that, like, came out of nowhere, and that's why I say it shocked the NHL world, because, like, let's be honest, in the modern world, like, I think back to the Kraken expansion draft where Saravalli tweeted out every single pick an hour before the draft, or how every trade nowadays is, oh, well, there's rumors. Oh, it happened. Okay. There was nothing on this.
Yeah.
Carolina was allegedly looking at Miller and Pettersson, and then they're just Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah. Vancouver was standing there with their ice cream cone wondering what the heck happened. So just watching McKinnon and Bednar's media pressers after the Boston game, you could just tell that they were like at a loss for words, and like they're just like sad. They are sad.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't blame them.
Again, like I can't imagine like what kind of Connor we would get if we traded Leon out of the blue. Like, how depressed would he be?
I can't even think about it. And
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. So really quick quote from McKinnon. He said, "I never thought in a million years he'd leave. So yeah, it just sucks." Like literally knife in the heart.
I mean, those two have been their dynamic duo for years. Also, if you would have told me that the Stanley Cup final, like the game where the Avs won the cup, would be the last time McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog all played on the ice together. Oh.
It's just sad to think about, like so sad.
And that was 2022.
Not that long ago. That long ago.
If you would tell me that, like if you asked me, would you trade in a Stanley Cup if it meant Connor, Leon, and Nuge never played on the ice together again? I probably wouldn't do it.
I don't know if I'd take it
because like, yes, the short term of, yay, we won a cup, but like there's something about watching those three guys every single year that's just better than that short term, we won a cup.
Woohoo! Yeah, I wouldn't take it. All right, let's move on to the Canucks. We're trying to keep our Around the NHL short, but it's really hard.
It's been an insane week for Around the NHL, so
it has.
we have there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, we'll move on from the trade. Let's talk about the Canucks and how that situation's going.
Jim Rutherford, you're crazy. You are crazy.
That was insane.
He's like, why would JT and Pettersson do this to the locker room? Goes out in the media, confirms everything, and is like, no. I didn't do this to the locker room.
No,
I didn't do this to the locker room.
Interview. Why do you go to Globe and Mail? Why do you go and do that interview? You're especially like your team won the last two games. You're one point out of the wild card. and then you go out into the media and just say, like, openly admit that, yes, there is a problem in the locker room. It can't be fixed internally. We have to trade one or both of JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. And then also sitting there going like, yeah, if we trade them for picks and prospects, Hughes is going to walk.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. So it's like, what are you doing, dude? You know what? I want to use a term that has, my boy Dave Sawchuk. That should be internal communication.
That is internal communication. That is internal communication. And Jim Rutherford, you messed up by doing external communication. I cannot believe that. And it's crazy. It is crazy. If our president of hockey operations...
If Jeff Jackson went into the media and was like, yeah, Connor and Leon are friends off. What? Why?
Like, the way we would come
accomplish
for Jeff Jackson's head.
Yeah.
And then also, like, yeah, it's just crazy. And I don't blame that fan base. I do not like them. And I can't stand them.
But I get it.
Like, I would be pissed off.
No, it's insane for your president of hockey ops to go to the media and say all those things and just, like, it adds nothing. It does nothing but depress your locker room. And from the way the quote sounded, he was saying, like, even if we trade one of them, it doesn't fix it, because now this problem has lingered for so long. For so long, the locker room is split. You have Team Pettersson, you have Team Miller. If you trade one, okay, Pettersson's gone, but Team Pettersson is still there.
Yeah,
his boys are there. You trade Miller's still there. Like Besser, like if Miller goes, Besser has to go, and who else has to go? If like, what are they going to do? I don't know what they do. But this is on management for letting this linger for so long.
100%.
This has been whispered about for years. Miller and Pettersson don't like each other. Okay, that's something you need to squash early. You need to get on top of that. And like, I don't know. If it got to a point where you're like, okay, we can't fix this, you sat them both down, they're not going to fix it, you trade one of them early. And I go back, I look at the Bo Horvat trade, and it's even more confusing to me. Like, especially, like, you look back at his comments after he was in New York and kind of the shots he took. If it was going on back then, why did you extend both of Miller and Pettersson?
I don't understand.
And then trade your captain. I don't think Horvat was just like happy to be out of that locker room.
Probably.
I think he was just done.
And you know what? Quinn Hughes being in the middle of this.
Oh my God.
And you
Quinn
saw
Hughes.
In the Amazon Prime series him reading all these books on leadership. He's trying to like keep this room together.
Yeah.
And these two are tearing it apart. And you know what? If I hypothetically, if I was in this locker room, I would probably be Team JT Miller. I'm not going to lie, because the guy is tough and he plays his ass off every single night.
Well, that's except for that last game against the Oilers.
Yeah.
He didn't look right in that game.
But
yes,
also,
I know what you mean.
like, Pettersson just watches Corey Perry body slam Quinn Hughes, just stands there. I can't. And you know what? JT Miller, if you're going to be toxic, you got to be hot. Just going to put that out there. And also, Elias Pettersson, if you're going to make $11.6 million, you better be doing something on the ice and not having this drama.
Yeah, what is? I'm going to pull this up. I don't actually know it off the top of my head, but
I can't believe how fired up I am over this. Like, I'm like hot right now.
I get it. Like, I get it. It's, you have two guys who are both could be 100-point players in the league.
Yep.
Backed with probably the second best offensive defenseman in the league, only behind Makar. And honestly, this season, I might put him ahead of Makar.
I would.
He is putting this team on his back. Vancouver fans, we hate you. We hate your team. We don't want to see you in the playoffs, but, like, we get it.
Like, he is dragging them into that wild card spot.
And hate's a strong word. Some of you are fine. But, like, the playoff series still sits in my mouth. I know, but hate's just a strong word. But Elias Pettersson in 43 games this season has 31 points and is -5.
Yeah, like that's bad. That is bad.
And, like, I don't think Miller's doing much better. Like, let's be honest. If it wasn't for DeBrusk and, like, Garland, their forward core, like they wouldn't have any offense.
No, they would have none. So
I feel bad for DeBrusk too.
Yeah. Like going there and being like, what did I get myself into?
The 7 years, 8 years, whatever he signed for the
8 years.
The 8-year extension. And now for them to likely go into a rebuild. Because, like, if they had a trade where they could get rid of Pettersson or Miller and get players, like NHL players back, they would have done it already.
Yep.
You know, you look at, they were talking to Carolina, and it sounded like they were asking for Pettersson or Miller, one of the two, and the Carolina offered up Natchez, and Vancouver was like, no, we need more.
Like, you're not in the position to be asking for more.
No, you're not. So like, they're going to end up trading them for way less value than they could have got if they had just.
Well, Jim Rutherford also said, if we trade Pettersson, do not expect a good return. That's summarized, but sentence. Still. Okay, really quickly. Mm-hmm. JT Miller to Columbus Blue Jackets, maybe.
I could see it. I could see both Miller and Garland going, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just send team JT out that way. And then Pettersson, I have no idea.
I've heard that Buffalo is super interested in him.
That is true. I have heard Buffalo, and I've also heard like people speculating. It's like, oh, it's got to be Cousins and Byram minimum. It's going to be neither of them.
Yep.
I almost guarantee maybe they move out Cousins just because Buffalo has already sounded like they're trying to move him out, but I don't think they get both.
No, and also, this is going to be the first time that Buffalo is on the good end of a trade. So,
well, you think unless this is what Pettersson just is,
I guess,
and he's an 11.6, 60-point guy.
I'm sorry, my silence is just like, can you imagine paying that much money for somebody that isn't producing? I literally don't have a leg to stand on because I don't play hockey and I'm not very athletically inclined. But so anybody listening to this, just take everything we say with a grain of salt, please.
Yeah, please do. We're college kids. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move into the intermission. Hey?
Yeah, in the intermission.
Yeah. Okay. So
Mac, what do you got for us?
We had a really good weekend at the Nest. I'm not going to lie. 2 really fun games. The men's team on Friday. So they played Lac La Biche, Portage Voyageurs, and this team is 2-12. So
damn, that's a good team.
Not great.
Yeah.
But they ended up winning 5-4. Their goalie, he stood on his head. I feel like I say this every week, but he really did. He made crazy saves, and Nate just ended up being able to capitalize at the right times.
Love to hear it.
They had a new ad over the break. His name's Odin George, and this was his first ACAC game.
Okay.
Sorry, that's a lie.
Oh.
One of his first 5. Sorry.
Just spreading misinformation on the pod.
And he had his first goal that night. Yeah, I'm not very credible, so... and was also player of the game last night. So it's a pretty good start for him. And then they also had their veteran goalie, Riley Osland, in on Friday night. Mm-hmm. And they've been riding the hot hand of McCoy Bidewell.
Yeah.
Basically all season. He's been lights out for them.
Yeah, no, the few games I have caught, he's been stellar.
Yeah. So they are giving him a rest, and Riley Osland, he's been their starter for the last few years. And this was actually his first start since November. And as the game progressed, you could see him getting his legs back and getting back into the flow of things.
Yep.
So that's really good to see. I think if Osland's able to get like a few more games in before playoff starts, it'll be a really good tandem to have. And then they also beat Lac La Biche on Saturday, 6-3. So got the home and away win, which is huge.
That's a big weekend to get both wins.
Yeah. And then the women's team. I love talking about this team.
Love talking about this team.
I love them. They're so much fun to watch. And like the support that this team has as well is insane. My first game of the season, I actually, because they did like the banner raising and like a little like ceremony because they won the championship last year. And the Nest was completely full. And I just got emotional. I was like, this is so cool to see. And I just love women in sports and women's hockey. So they swept Olds. They played on Thursday. Their schedule's a little weird when they play Olds, but they played them.
I was going to say Thursday's weird. Normally it's Friday.
Yeah, so they played them in Olds on Thursday, winning 3-2.
Okay, big win.
And they had their rookie goalie, Georgia Emery, in for both games.
Oh,
so
wow.
This is the first time she's had back-to-back starts.
Yeah.
They gave Aurora Van Warmer and Ella Howard some breaks, which they're well-deserved. They both have been playing lights out as well all season. So are they just
carrying all three goalies on the roster?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yep. And on Saturday, they won 3-0. So I'm going to...
shutout.
Huge shutout. Now every single goalie on that women's team has a shutout. Guess how many shots she faced?
I'm going to say, are we going Price is Right rules?
Just one guess. I want to keep this short.
Okay, 35.
No. So we all know that the women's team can hold the line like crazy good.
Yep.
And when you do get chances, they're not very good ones. Like they are a really good defensive and offensive team. Mm-hmm. They only allowed 14 shots.
Oh, I was way off.
Fair though. Like I would have guessed 30 as well because that's like an average.
Yeah, I was just trying to go for maybe a high average.
Yeah.
Maybe they were letting things go or just a lot of shots from the perimeter. No, 14 shots.
14 shots through 60 minutes.
Oh, considering what was it last week we were talking about the men's team giving up 60?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So they would trap Olds in their own zone for 2.5, 3 minutes again. And they were able to be so creative on offense as well. They have so many weapons on there that they can basically, if they are holding the line, they can do whatever they want. They win every single puck battle along the boards. They use the boards so well. And this weekend is a really exciting weekend for them because they are doing Girls Hockey Day in Jasper, and they'll be playing Red Deer Polytechnic out there. So,
that sounds super fun.
Yeah, right? So I won't be there, sadly. Apparently, commentators don't get to travel to Jasper for special games.
That's totally unfair. I think you should totally be out in those mountains calling hockey games, enjoying yourself.
Right. And the men's team also has a bye this weekend. So
not a lot of hockey.
Not a lot of hockey happening, but I'm sure
you get the weekend off.
I'll find something for this little segment next week, but I'm sure I'll have something women's related. And also the women's team has already clinched playoffs, which starts in March.
It's January 29th.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The ACAC is weird.
I mean, that's true. It is the ACAC. But, still, to clinch a playoff spot for March in January, that's pretty good.
Okay, I might be lying. I think playoff starts the last weekend of February.
Oh, okay.
So that's my bad. Misinformation from Mac again. Who's surprised? Not me.
New segment, misinformation from Mac here on Blue Line Banter.
Where I can just spew whatever rumors I want to get out there.
Yeah, and it's up to you guys if she's telling the truth or not.
That might be kind of fun.
That would be really fun. Just start making up shit.
Yeah.
That's what we do anyway.
Time for our Oilers.
I know. Oilers were in action. We have 3 games we can talk about since our last episode. We have the blowout of the Canucks, 6-2 on Thursday. That was a fun game.
Okay. Corey Perry, I love that man.
That is the man. That specific game of Corey Perry is the man I remember hating to the bone in the 2017 playoffs with the Anaheim Ducks. He pissed me off so bad. I don't even know how old I was, but little me, 2017.
I would have been 17. That was the year I graduated, so I remember that.
I would have been 15.
Yeah.
Little 15-year-old me. I hated him so much. I don't remember hating a person so much, but the Worm, oh, man, he was out in full force. And, that wasn't Nuge laughing in Pia Suter's face. Golden.
Loved it. I loved it. Every aspect of that game, I was like, let's go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Give me 1 sec. I got to clear my throat. Okay, there we go. Much better. Yeah, the Worm being the Worm. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, that was an all-time game
the guy
from him.
Into dropping his gloves and then just looking at the ref being like, you see these? They're still on. What are you going to do about that? And then canceling out the power play and then also baiting a guy into a 10-minute misconduct.
Like, if you're the Canucks, you got to be better. You got to be better. You know who Corey Perry is.
Also,
you know who he is.
He is, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Everyone knows who he is, but he's still infuriating.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I had something. Also, Canucks fans hate him extremely after his whole thing of, we don't do enough to protect the Stars, and then he slams Quinn Hughes to the ice.
He got a penalty. So I have no issue with it.
He got the penalty. That is 100% correct. He got called for it. But it's just funny for him to be like, they don't protect the Stars. And then, to be fair, Quinn Hughes was the 5th guy into that pile, and he's like, hey, go back to the blue line.
Yeah.
You don't need to be here.
So I have a kind of funny story about my friend that loves Corey Perry.
Okay.
So we call him, his name's Fish, because his last name's Fisher. I'm just gonna not say his full name because I didn't ask him if I can say
That's
this.
Fine. Fish is fine.
We went to the Minnesota game last year, and that was a back-to-back against the Flames. They lost. That was when, can we still say that Minnesota's our kryptonite? I don't know. But
it's hard to say because we've won, but I don't trust it yet.
Yeah, exactly. So they end up losing. But Corey Perry scores.
Yep.
And my friend, he bought or buys. I can't remember if he bought it that night or what. But he has this Corey Perry jersey on. It's the Navy alternate.
Oh, love that.
And he is in the streets yelling, Corey Perry, all the time. That's all the time. And I love it.
Yeah. 100%.
And he loves Corey Perry. That's his boy.
Listen, everyone seems to love that one Oiler. And you just can't judge him.
Yeah.
For me, right now, it's Ty Emberson.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the kid.
Yeah.
And I will support him through every. Sorry, light is distracting me again. It's for me, it's Ty Emberson right now. But no, everyone's got they're not one of the big three. You know, that
100%.
That is my boy.
I'm just gonna put this out there. I liked Hyman before he was a part of the big three.
I liked Hyman when he was a Leaf, and the day I saw he signed, I was so happy. So every year, July 1st, I used to go camping with my family. That used to be our big thing, Canada Day long weekend. We'd go out camping somewhere. And so I'm in the forest in the middle of nowhere with 1 bar of service, frantically refreshing Instagram as 1 p.m. hits to be okay, free agency starting. What can I find?
Yeah.
And honestly, this is a bit of a fun story, but because of Zach Hyman signing in Edmonton, actually that's probably the starting point to leading me down my path into radio.
Okay, that's really cool.
It is.
That's really cool.
Because as I was scrolling and refreshing on the For You, just trying to find any information on what the Oilers are doing, I found a signed post, Zach Hyman signed a post. I'm like, no way. I click on it, and it was our local boys here, Oilers Nation, and that is how I found them. And going through the path and getting to know them, I've started interacting with them, become friends with a lot of guys there, and they've helped me kind of realize there's a career for me here, and kind of encouraged me to go to school, and have been super supportive of that. And so that kind of all, finding that Zach Hyman post is why I'm here.
Those are our boys. Right? Yeah. And also Corey Perry, for a fourth liner making $1 million, the way he's been able to produce and also
just be effective.
Be effective and also adjust his style of play to where he's needed is so amazing. And I'm really glad we've got this guy in our locker room, on the ice. It seems like he's a big part of that locker room, and on the bench as well. It looks like is really a calming presence. So that's my little bit on Corey Perry.
Yeah, no, 100%. Love Corey Perry, and I love that he wasn't afraid last year to kind of keep Kane in line at times. And, without Kane on the bench, I'm sure that's helped with his blood pressure a bit. 38, 39 years old, got to keep that in mind. But outside the Canucks game, we then went to a bit of a snooze fest against the Sabres. we still won 3-2, but it was just not a very exciting hockey game. I went to my friend's house that weekend for that game, and we were just kind of we ended up playing Blockbuster for most of it, if I'm being honest. It was just kind of okay, we went down. Hey, look, we made it back. Yeah, whatever. Gotta be Nuge. Good job, Nuge. Love Nuge.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It wasn't a very exciting game. It doesn't feel like a lot happened.
All right. I have like a different take, kind of.
Okay, let's hear this different take.
I love when the Oilers play uneventful hockey. I love it.
Okay.
And that shows how much of a veteran group we have.
True.
And they don't need to play these crazy up and down games all the time.
True. That's 100%. That is a good take. Like, yes, it is good that we can just sit in a game and hang around and hang around and hang around, and then bang bang, we win 3-2.
Mm-hmm. And that third period, Buffalo made like a huge push. Yeah. And you know who was the best Oiler on the ice?
That was a Stu Skinner game.
That was a Stuart motherfucking Skinner game. And you know what? To all the Stuart Skinner haters out there, look at that game. Look at that game. I know Buffalo is not very good.
You know
I know that.
To all the Stuart Skinner skaters out there, guess what? He just had his second kid.
Yeah, he did.
So I'm just saying he's winning.
Sorry, my mouse is frozen. Okay.
It's all good.
I had a tweet that I wanted to read, but...
Can't find it now?
Well, my phone is just... Or my computer's not working.
Okay,
give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds.
She does that. Yeah, I mean, that was a great game by Skinner. He made some big saves, especially near the end of the game to keep the win.
Yep.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay, she's got it.
Okay, so, sorry, my computer just froze on me. It is a tweet from an Oilers fan who tweets a lot. Okay. I'm not going to say the handle or anything like that, but it's and this person is a Stuart Skinner hater. Calls for Pickard and Skinner to be traded all the time. And I read his tweets and get like infuriated. So it says, bookmark this. Stuart Skinner was the best Oiler on the ice today and won this team the game. And you know what? I did bookmark it.
That's crazy. I mean, listen, I can at least appreciate when a hater will give the person they're hating their flowers when they deserve it. You know, like all the people who hated on Nurse, who are at least now being like, okay, he's having a good year. He's doing really good. This is fine. It's the people who are like refuse to like give any credit to a player who's playing good just for the sake of, well, I don't like them. And I want to be different. And I'm so special.
I'm a hipster, and I just don't think Connor McDavid's that good. Literally shut the fuck up. Literally shut up. Shut up. It doesn't make you cool. It doesn't make you different. Saying that a player isn't good when they are good doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It makes you look stupid.
And you know what? With uneventful hockey comes Oilers fans not ripping other players on Twitter. So I really like that. Yeah. And this was not an A or B game from the Oilers. It was a C game.
And they won it.
They did. So I just like these games because it shows maturity and it shows the growth that they've had. So I really enjoy it.
Absolutely. And also, like, big shout out to Nuge over this stretch, like, during, you know, Connor's absence and even last Monday night.
Yep.
Nuge is, you know, proving all the haters wrong. People were calling that, oh, we need to trade him. He can't be a top 6 guy. He can barely be a middle 6 guy. Nuge is too old. He's not good at, shut up.
Shut up. We are keeping Nuge forever. Forever. Get it into your little tiny brains and accept it.
Nuge is going nowhere. He is a part of this core. We will retire his jersey at the end of his career, whether he wins a cup or not. Maybe not. Maybe we don't retire Nuge's jersey. He'll be first ballot Hall of Honor, Ring of Honor, whatever it is that we do internally.
Yeah, that thing.
But if we can win a cup with Nuge, I think all of 93, 97, and 29 will be retired. Just purely because Nuge stuck it out. Like, everyone likes to talk about the first, 5 years of Connor McDavid, but
here, hold on.
Oh, I'm holding on.
Judy, thank you.
Okay, we had a little SD card drop off in the studio. Sorry about that. Yeah, people talk about the first 5 years of McDavid. What about the first, however many years of Nuge?
Like the first 10 years?
Yeah. But he stuck it out.
He did.
And now he's here, and we love him, and I'm glad he's not going anywhere. So last game to talk about, the return of the second best Oiler, Connor McDavid, as they take on the
I thought you were about
Kraken.
to say Calvin Pickard.
No. Why?
I don't know why I thought that. No. I don't know why I thought that.
Return of the second best Oiler this season, Connor McDavid, as they take on the Seattle Kraken. They find the 4-2 victory as they finally score on an empty net.
Finally.
After Hyman ripped one off a crossbar on an empty net. The goalie was in the net, but he was so out of the net.
Yeah.
Hyman had the entire
in the net, but out of the net.
Yeah, Hyman had the entire net to shoot at. Hits the crossbar.
Yeah.
Hyman, what are we doing, buddy? Did your parents check bounce? Is that how that worked? I don't know. But no, I mean that was a good game. That was again another low event hockey, we'll call it. But
yeah, it was. There was a burst.
There was.
Was that the second period or second period where Seattle was coming at them pretty hot.
Yeah.
And Calvin Pickard again made all the saves.
I don't get the people calling for he's not a backup goal. I think
he's not a true 1B.
It's true. We don't need a 1B.
Shut up.
We don't need a 1B. We need a backup. We need a B to Stuart Skinner's A.
Literally.
I don't get that narrative, and I get a lot of people see the name Pickard and be like, well, he's a journeyman. He's an AHL goalie. He's proven people wrong.
He's made a resurgence, and you know what? That was supposed to be a scheduled start for Stuart Skinner, and he came in and played super well.
So good.
And also, the fact that it's usually 2 games for Skinner and then 1 for Pickard, or maybe it's 3.
It kind of depends on the schedule, but they'll usually try and not give Skinner any more than 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Just kind of depending on the schedule, so...
Sorry,
Did Pickard play the Canucks game on the Thursday?
No, that was Stu.
Okay. I don't know. Pickard usually gets Thursday games, so...
Yeah. Also, so we did have the e-bug in on Sunday... It's Monday night.
Yeah, Monday. We'll get dates down eventually, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah. Sorry. When it's Wednesday, it feels like Thursday.
It really does.
So I don't know what to do about that, but emergency backup goalie, Tyler Palmer. So he's a goalie for the U of A Golden Bears. And I want to say, first off, this is his first year in U Sports. He's a first-year student. And yeah, he did come from the WHL, but he's still only 21 years old. Yeah. So he is young.
No, that's insane.
And going from U Sports to then the Oilers are calling you, being like, hey, we might need you to back us up, is crazy. And you could tell when they were doing shots in the locker room, he was sitting there and so shaking.
Scared. He was so nervous. You were sitting there. He was looking out at nothing. His hands were shaking. He looked like me anytime I got called up to the top team. And the only reason I ever got called up to the top team was playoffs or provincials, which means they were big games. And I was like, if I fuck this up, they're not gonna like me. Yeah. My chances next year are worse.
And all of his friends, family, teammates were watching, and he was just like, oh my God, I just don't want to look like an idiot.
That's true. It sounds like he's also supposed to be there for our game tomorrow against the Red Wings. So Oilers, help the kid out, go up 5-0.
Yeah.
And with 7 minutes left in the third, throw him in there.
Yeah. And also, he has played 17 games this season for the Golden Bears. Okay. Not the Oilers, obviously. Has had 12 wins and only 4 losses. So this is a high-end U Sports goalie, honestly.
What are his stats like?
He has a .904 save percentage.
Well, I mean, it's not bad.
And that's pretty good.
Yeah, for you,
And a .201 goals against.
Okay, that's good.
Right?
That just means that his team doesn't give up a lot of shots, and I'm guessing when they do, they're high quality.
Yeah. So and yeah, U of A, they are a super strong team.
Always.
They've been the last few years really good. So also, I am going to the Detroit game tomorrow.
Oh, yes,
Thursday.
You are. You told me about this.
And nobody from my work listens to this, thank God, because I'm about to say I'm calling in sick because there's no way I'm missing a game and lower bowl seats for 3.5 hours at a dealership.
No, absolutely. I feel something coming on too. No, that'll be a fun one, especially if Tyler?
Whatever.
Whatever, especially if the e-bug can get in there.
Yeah, Tyler.
Okay, I thought so. I was like,
sorry,
Tyler
my computer's being janky, and I'm trying to look at it on my phone. But yeah, so I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not going to put like anything into the world. Like I'm not going to speak anything because I feel like when I say things, the opposite always happens.
Yeah, me and Mac are very opposite on our beliefs of superstitions.
Yeah.
Where I will manifest everything and she is tired or scared to do it.
I have so many thoughts that I won't put out because I'm just like, as soon as I say it, it's the opposite is going to happen. And then it's not going to then I'm going to look even more like an idiot than I normally do.
Yeah, no, for sure. Are you tired of hearing about Mikko Rantanen yet?
Do you have something else you need to add?
Just more silly season talk than anything as we're approaching the first of 2 trade deadlines this year. So it's officially silly season, as we like to call it.
We're just silly and goofy.
We're silly and goofy, and we live in fantasy
joking
land.
Around. Yeah.
So there have been reports, speculations, whatever you want to call them, that if Mikko Rantanen does not extend with the Carolina Hurricanes, he would be interested in joining the Edmonton Oilers. Now, him and Leon Draisaitl do share an agent.
They do. I didn't know that, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I did learn that recently, and that is very cool. So, I have a potential roster that was sent to me that looks at next season with I believe they jumped the cap up to like only 95 just to play it safe. So there still could be an extra $2 million to work with on this roster.
Okay.
So your top line, you're keeping Nuge, McDavid, Hyman together.
Mm-hmm.
Your second line, with an extension, or this is with signing Mikko Rantanen to a whatever year deal for $13 million, which is more than reports are saying he's asking for. So this could be lower.
Mm-hmm.
Mikko Rantanen at 13 with Leon and Matt Savoy.
Okay.
Your third line, Podkolzin, Henrik, Arvidsson.
I like that we're keeping Henrik because I've seen a lot of these where it's like, you got to get rid of Henrik. I'm like, no, you don't. No.
And your fourth line is Janmark, Phil Brown.
Yeah, I would take it.
Ekholm, and then this one also did have you still have to extend Bouchard. This specific one, they went with an 8-year or a 5x8. So $8 million for 5 years. That seems fairly realistic given the year Bouchard's having.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't see him getting 12 mil like some people are projecting. I see him as like around 8-9 mil.
I think if he asks for that, he gets laughed in the face.
Yeah.
He throws a pizza up the ice at least once a game.
Yeah. Second pair, Nurse, and you're keeping Stetcher around. Third line is Kulak and Emberson, which again would require extending Emberson. On this one, they gave him 1.75 for 3 years, which is also pretty realistic.
Yeah, that is pretty realistic.
With Skinner and Pickard and net.
Yeah, I mean,
all in all, with the extensions and numbers that this specific scenario had, it comes to 94.4 million with those 20. So even at 95, you could potentially carry a extra forward or defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this does require trading out of Vander Kane the last year, which does become easier once July 1st hits because his full no move clause turns into a 16 no trade clause. So half the league he has on his no trade clause. God, I cannot get these words out. But that gives you 16 teams that he has no say in.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I would hate to see Kane go, but also, like, for Mikko Rantanen,
but it's for Mikko Rantanen. I love Kane, too. Don't get me wrong. It's Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah. I'd like to live in this fantasy land where Mikko Rantanen is here and Evander Kane stays.
Well...
But then I don't like to give up other people, so...
You could do something like... Because if that's the case, you want to keep him, you got to find $5 million on this roster somewhere. Say the cap goes up to the 97 and you trade Arvidsson. Re-sign...
Sorry. I don't know what's happening.
What are you doing? That'll do it. Listen, this is a live podcast. You get all the behind the scenes bloopers, but you could trade out someone like Arvidsson and replace him by re-signing Kapanen for around $1 million. So you save $3 million there, and then if the cap goes up like $1 or $2 million, or Mikko Rantanen signs like $1 million less, like you could potentially do it, but it gets very, very tight.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it. I would. Okay, how mad would you be if you are the opposing team coach? You're up a goal with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, and over the boards comes McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, Hyman, Rantanen, Bouchard.
I would be like, okay, this game's over. We're done. We're cooked. Like we are cooked.
How imagine how mad are you?
Oh, pissed.
That'd be insane, and it also opens up some spots in the lineup to like force the team to be like, okay, maybe we use some of our young guys that we have, like Matt Savoy in the top 6. You know, making Noah Philp a more permanent spot in the lineup. I really like that. Bring back Emerson for cheap because
having a little bit of youth in there with Savoy and Emerson, and I think and Philp.
Podkolzin's still fairly
young. Podkolzin is too. So I do I'll live in the fantasy line.
Yeah, it's the thing. I have zero expectations. My guess is he extends with Carolina.
Probably.
At like $14 million.
What if he goes back to Colorado?
Oh, how funny would it be if he just goes back to Colorado?
Insane. It'd be crazy.
Be like, listen, guys, this year's not our year for the Cup, okay? We're injured. Our depth is lacking. So, whatever our GM's name is, I am Mikko Rantanen. I come to you with a proposition. Trade me. And then sign me.
So everybody thinks that our organization is absolutely insane, and then I come back, and it's like
the storylines.
Yeah.
Imagine the headlines.
Exactly. And we need more storylines. We need more blockbuster trades in the NHL.
Absolutely.
It's what makes like doing this so much fun and like talking.
I have been so excited for this podcast.
Same.
All week.
Same.
Since that trade, that, and then again, this interview with Rutherford didn't come out till yesterday, but it just got me so much more excited.
Mm-hmm.
We were sitting in class being like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It was insane.
We explained it to some of our friends
classmates
that aren't super into hockey, and I kind of explained it like a high school. And
I wish I heard this explanation. I'd stepped out.
I wish you would have as well, because I can't remember what I said word for word, but I explained it, and our friend William Billiam.
We love William
We
Billiam.
do. And he went to go do his own research after. And I could see him scrolling Sportsnet, reading what Jim Rutherford has had to say. And then he looked up JT Miller, and then he looked up Pettersson, and both times he slammed his computer shut. So I feel like that puts the idea of what he thought into clear perspective.
Yeah, no, 100%. What else can we talk? Do you have anything else for the Oilers?
Not much, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna blow out Detroit.
I don't think so either. Detroit's been playing. Actually, let's look.
They just beat LA.
Yeah. Yes, they did. They've been playing pretty good hockey since
they have.
Todd McClellan came in and told them to just play hockey because they beat the Lightning. They're actually on a tight little 3-game win streak.
Yep.
Lost to the Flyers in overtime, just before that, and the Stars and the Lightning. But overall, they're doing really. 6-3-1 in their last 10. They are currently 2 points. I'm sorry. I just got shocked when I looked at the Atlantic standings. The Senators are in 3rd.
Really?
The Leafs, the Panthers, the Senators, the Bruins, and the Lightning. The Senators hold a divisional playoff spot as of this moment.
Sorry, my jaw is like on the floor.
They are tied in points with the Bruins with 2 games in hand. That is insane.
That's crazy.
Is this truly just the power of the Senators when they start getting goaltending?
Apparently.
That isn't, Korpisalo?
Yeah. All right.
Crazy.
Well, that's kind of all I had.
Yeah, I think that's all I'm at. A little shorter today, but not by much.
That's good. We're trying to keep these short, but sometimes we just have so much to talk about. So this is Mackenzie and Tristyn from Blue Line Banter. Make sure you follow, subscribe, watch on YouTube, give us a like, maybe a comment if you're feeling crazy. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. Tell everybody you know. I don't know. Who should they tell this week?
This week we're going. Tell your Chipotle, burrito constructor.
Tell your Uber driver.
Your Uber driver. That's a good one. Tell the cute cashier at McDonald's.
Are any cashiers at McDonald's cute?
All of them. I promise you.
When they're handing you those fries, they're like, give me a little wink.
Hey, listen, you never know.
That's true. You never know. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week.